Hello everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of the Minecraft Create Survival World, where we have been building up our starter base. So this is the control tower you remember from last time. We are doing our deep in the frozen wastes abandoned research and mining facility. So you can see that since last time I have swapped out the stone that we had before for the plinth. I've gone with deep slate instead. And I do think that contrasts a bit more nicely with the original building. Before it was all stone and it kind of blended into one. You can also see that there's a pair of doors in there. Let me just have a little run over. And what I'm thinking is this is just going to be overflow storage, basically. This is just going to be stuff like cobble, for example, that is building up very merrily, and it's all going to be stored down here. It's close enough to the actual base that I can come down and get it relatively easily without being an absolute pain. But plans for today. We need to get a little bit better established around here, in particular in terms of iron. That needs to be the first job because I am fed up with going out and gathering stuff with stone tools. And what I'm thinking for iron is, so we've got our cobblestone generator. Now I want to keep hold of that because we're going to be building with a heck of a lot of stone around here and I really don't want to have to go and mine that out. This is doing a perfectly good job of making it for us. So, we do want the cobble to be building up, but we want to be able to convert some of it into iron. Again, I'm going to be using a lot of gravel, so I want that too. So I think what I'm going to do is next to it, I am just going to make a little crushing system here so that we can decide which of the cobble we want to crush up, and then that could be converted into iron if it's spare, for example. So, let's go and grab a few bits and pieces and just make that one quickly. That is at least a nice, easy little job. Oh yeah, and I have done a little bit of moving in up here as well. I've brought my bed over, the all-important bed, and just the crusher so that I can get hold of some steel plates and some copper plates. And I've been moving over what very few bits and pieces we actually have at the moment in this world. We are pretty low on all materials at this point, especially anything that uses andesite or iron, because this is not easy to find in this area. I thought it would have been easy to find iron being in mountains, but no. Oh well, never mind. Let's just sleep and then go and build this crusher. Okay, right, so I think I've got the bits and pieces that I should be needing on me. Got the mills themselves, the all-important ones, chutes just to transfer things to and from, and some belts, shafts, just the usual bits and pieces, as well as, of course, some junk that I forgot to take out of my inventory. Sure, we'll be needing paper and, what's that? White carpet. Yeah, definitely vital for this one. Anyway, right, so let's try to go at roughly the same height as our cobblestone generator over there. And what we'll do, I think, is we'll just go from there. How many are we going to need? We'll have 4 mills. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If we pop a belt just there, we can work from that. 1 belt. Okay. So, onto that, we're going to need some chutes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Onto those, we're going to need to have our mills. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then onto those we'll need to have some more chutes so that everything can go in at a reasonable speed, and then on top of them we'll need to have our chest. This is getting pretty tall. Well, at least we're no taller than that. That's fine. Let's just put down a couple of double chests, and then all I'll be able to do is I'll just go, okay, here's some cobble, let's just stick it up there. Whoop, might have to jump, but that's fine. It'll go through into the crushers, and then it'll come down and we'll store it over here somewhere. Do I want to store it on that side, or do I want to store it on this side? This side would mean I could have an easy door coming in. Whoa, let's not be falling into holes. Let me out. So we can have an easy door that just goes through here, and then both of those will be there, so I can go, okay, grab some cobble, okay, grab some gravel. Yeah, let's do that. Let's have it being stored on this side, I think. For now, we will just place it on deep slate, because that is what I randomly have on me, but I don't have the chest. Right, go back and grab a chest. Okay, and we are back. Right, so let's take our chest and we'll just pop that next to the other one. As I say, that's going to be for nice, easy collection for us. Into that then, we'll have our andesite funnel. This means that all the gravel that comes down is going to be able to just go straight into there, once our belt is moving in that direction, obviously. And then we need to actually do the powering of our mills. These things are going to need to be going pretty fast, otherwise they're not going to be able to keep up with the demand for either gravel or the iron, especially considering if we just have a quick little look at JEI, I'm pretty certain the conversion rate for iron is still fairly terrible. Let's have a look. Iron nuggets being washed. Gravel, we are going to get a 12% chance. Going to need an awful lot of gravel in order to make enough iron to keep us going. Ooh, sunk again. Okay though, so we know we're going to have to place our cogwheels along the back. And then, I think unlike on this one where I had our water wheels off to the side, I am just going to point them straight in that direction and we'll dig back into the mountain if we need to. So I should have a gearbox. Let's make it vertical. Let's pop that on the end. No, first of all, we're going to need to speed everything up, aren't we? So what we'll do, yeah, we'll pop that onto the end and then we'll go through our speeding up process. So how much faster do we think we're going to need to go? Let's speed up our wheels by 3 times and see how that goes. So in order to speed up, you'd need to go from large to small, and we're working backwards, so we'd have to go small to large. And then from there, we'll just go a small one, and then it doesn't really matter which way we're going, because we're going to be digging back here anyway. Not like this is going to need to be pretty. A large, let's go. Can't go in that direction because it'll try to connect. Let's go to there, we'll just stick a small one on there, and we'll just put another large one going off. This is going to be very erratic at the back here, but that's fine. We will have all of our wheels just over here. So, large one off of there, and then onto this, we need to connect our wheels and dig out a little bit of space. How many wheels do you think we're going to need? Let's go with 3 to begin with and see if that's okay. I have bought plenty. 1, 2, 3. Luckily, wheels don't actually care about stone. They'll just work straight into that and we can pretty it up at some other time. For now, let's just get things working. Doop, doop, and doop. Water can be placed against there. Let's just go and grab it, which will of course have frozen. And that's one of the reasons for doing it like this, to push this back into the wall rather than having everything outside, because there is no way there would ever be any kind of liquid water around here. It is way too cold. So all of this is going to need to get hidden, and also that's going to need to get taken away. But let's just go and see if these wheels are going to work for us. Whoop. Overstressed. It's going to push things around. What about that? That's fine. I've got a funny feeling, in fact I'm reasonably certain, 3 isn't going to be enough because of the number of times that we're speeding up, and those mills are pretty demanding when it comes to stress on these sorts of contraptions. So we might need to have extra wheels, but that's fine. As long as we get there in the end, and it's not too tiresome, it'll be all good. Is this going to be enough? No, we're still overstressed. Right, okay, let's push back a bit further. Let's try with just 4. Is that going to be enough? Wait. Oh, freezing you. And 4's the lucky one. 4 is the lucky one. Nice. That's not moving at a terrible speed. That's not too bad. Let's grab a little bit of our cobble. Let's just have a couple. Just have a look. Go in there. Of course, because it's being split between both of the chutes, it will go down through both of them. Well, that appeared reasonably quickly. This might be okay. We just need to get this belt moving as well. You, of course, are travelling in the wrong direction, so we're going to need another gearbox. That's okay, though. Let's pop our gearbox just there. Hey! There we go. Crushy crushy is happening. Let's pop some more in there, and that's everybody working. We'll go. How fast are we gathering? Let's have a look. That is quite reasonable. I'm happy with that. That's going to be fine. So we'll let that build up for a little bit, and then we'll be able to wash it down into our iron. To do that, though, of course, we're going to need to build the washers. And I've been thinking, not too sure if I want the washer here, or if it might actually be more useful to have it underneath the base, where we're going to have all of our overhead storage. I did think it could go here. where I've put down these were originally going to be just pillars. They're going to be used for supports and decoration with more shelving and that sort of thing, but maybe it would be easier to have washing stations and then maybe like a cooking station, something like that here. And then I can just take some cobble out, put it over here, and then when it's done, I can just put it back or whatever. Thinking through all these things to try to make the base as efficient as possible, or at least in the context of a very early game. But in order for us to do this washing then, we're going to need to be able to make a fan. And I am praying to the gods of Minecraft that 1, I fix this staircase at some point, and 2, I have got enough iron to make at least 1 fan. I've got 5 and I've got a single piece of andesite. So, for our fan then, what do we need? We need shaft done, casing done, propeller. Oh, look at that. 4 pieces of iron sheets. That is absolutely fine. I can quickly get them squished down and then we can make up our fan. Perfect. Right, so what do we need? We needed to have our iron sheets all going around in a circle. Those are the blades of our fan, and there is our propeller. We've got a shaft, we have got a casing, and we've got the propeller. There we go. Nice, well that's going to make things much easier. Eventually, of course, I'm going to need to get this set up automatically. For that though, I am probably going to need either brass in order to make brass filters, or let me out, thank you, or I'm going to need to have more fans. So for now, we're going to do it as cheap as we possibly can, after we've slept. Okay, right, so back down the twisty staircase. And back outside. So, for now, let's just set this up in here, because that's where it's going to end up living anyway. And I just want this to... How did you get in here? Do I have any kind of weaponry? Oh, you've actually blocked yourself in. Aww. Aww, can't you figure that out? Is that too complicated for you? Right, let's not be silly and die. So, fan, you can just... You know what, have I got a wheel? I have got a wheel. Wheel, you can go there. Fan, you can go there. And we will just get some water on that and make sure it is blowing. Okay, so if we just block this in a little bit, because I don't want the water to run absolutely everywhere. Pop that there. Are we blowing? We are blowing. Magnificent. Let's get you out of the way. Gonna need a couple of trap doors to put down. Let's do that. Let's just pop you up this corner. You'll be handy a little bit later on anyway. And we'll just have a couple of trap doors so we can trap some water in just in front of that. And then we have to go back and go and get some more water, of course. Pop that in front. And now, there we go. We should be able to wash anything here. It's not like it's going to be anything fancier than that for now. But the important thing is, at this point, it is just a case of getting just a little bit more established just to make life a little bit easier, considering the amount of building that we want to be doing around here. And this means that now we can just come up here and we can just chuck what little gravel we've got as it comes along, and I can just stand here and wait around for a little bit and wait for that to turn into my nice little iron nuggets. There we go. 17 nuggets from 2 stacks of gravel. We are going to need a lot of gravel to do this, aren't we? But that's fine, this is just the beginning. For now though, it is time for us to start thinking about what we are actually going to build now that we've started to get ourselves a tiny bit more established. Because, as I said last time, I want this place to be extremely lore heavy with a story attached to what it was that happened to this place. Now, we know that we've got the ancient cities underneath, and it seems the pretty unanimous decision from people in the comments is that no, it is not cliché, and yes, it is well worth using them as part of the story, which I completely agree with. It is too much of a nice little coincidence that they are there for us not to take advantage of it, but it does mean this is going to have some thinking about. Once I finish my steak lunch just there. So, what I'm going to do, I think, is I am going to create a story room. I want to create somewhere where we can keep track of what it is that happened here and what we need to build in order to create that story. My original idea was that this was just going to be one place where something happened where you could come and find out what that something was. With the ancient city now being here though, it's kind of expanded a bit. Let me make this story room and I'll show you, and yeah, you can kind of tell me what you think, I guess. I'm not too sure if I am barking up completely the wrong tree. And here we are. 2 seconds later for you, next day for me. And I have made a little story room. It is straight into our main room and then just off to the other side, and it is just down here. This is where we are going to do all of our planning for this world. We've got places where we can store books, we've got a little table that we can work with, we've got a mug, which you might be thinking, where has that come from? Well, I decided in order to make this world a little bit more lived in, a little bit more like there were people really here, we were going to need a way in order to do that, to convey it in a more reasonable manner. So I installed the Handcrafted mod as well. What that gives us access to is little bits and pieces like tables, mugs, cups, just that sort of thing. It's quite a small mod. It's just got the odd bits and pieces just to give a little bit more of a lived-in human feel around here. The vast majority of the stuff in it I'm not going to use. Mostly I just wanted the tables, chairs and the mugs. And the other thing I really like about this little room is that it looks directly out over the dripstone cave, which I think is a wonderful backdrop for a room that effectively doesn't actually exist in the world. This is a place that is only here for us. This is just for us to do our deciding, where we are going to control what is going on around us. Without getting too carried away just about the room that we're in, let's have a think about the story. And this is as far as I've gotten so far. So, the world is going to be separated up into different chapters. That again is pretty much for us, it's just something happened and then something else happened and then something else happened. Obviously by the end it will all be above in order to be looked at and found out about. But initially this was a geological dig site, so it's where people have come in order to collect things like rock samples and cores from the world, usually looking into things like climate change or geological anomalies, anything structural that could be found out from deep within the ice or deep within the rock itself. As part of this then, they are delving down deep into the earth itself, extracting these cores of earth that they then take up to take a look at. When they were doing this, they sent down the drill and it snagged on the top of the city. This obviously confused them. There should be nothing here apart from solid rock and ice and nothing else. There certainly shouldn't be anything underneath the ground. But for whatever reason, that drill snagged. It got stuck. They couldn't get it up. They couldn't put it down. It was just absolutely stuck there. And so they had to send a team to find out what was going on. As this team got closer to the city then, they started to encounter the Shriekers. If anything, I actually find the Shriekers more intriguing in this than the Warden itself because of the darkness that they create. And as this team went down, as they got down into the depths and closer to this strange place and that darkness enveloped them, well, they saw things in the darkness that they couldn't explain. Half of the team saw riches, and half of the team saw terror. Half of the team felt that this was a place that they had to go back to. They needed to find out what was there. They wanted all of those riches in all of those chests. And the other half of the team felt that this place should be sealed up and it should be never spoken about again so that no human ever came back here because there's something in the darkness that is going to kill them all. And now the captain of the site is faced with a dilemma. Half of his team desperately want to go back to the city. They think it's going to change their lives if they go there. They're going to be able to become so wealthy they'll never have to do any work like this again. Whereas the other half are so determined never to go back, they are threatening a mutiny. And so, seen as it seems to be the only sensible choice for now, the captain decides to seal off the city, trapping the tip of the drill down there as well, preventing the mutiny, but of course this is going to spread an awful lot of mistrust and paranoia around this site. And that is chapter 1 of what happened here. How a simple, innocent little geological dig site suddenly becomes an absolute hotbed of troubles and paranoia and people who are very, very angry and people who are very, very scared. Which is usually a pretty terrible combination, to be honest. But this gives us a foundation for where our world can start from. And as soon as we start getting things like this down, we can start looking at what buildings we're going to need in order to build the story. So the most obvious thing is going to be the actual dig site itself. So I've started putting down a list of what infrastructure we're going to need. Certainly we're going to need things like storage bays, a medical bay that can definitely get linked in with the story, as can the dig site itself, and a security office. We're also going to need to have a place where supplies get here. We are in the middle of nowhere. How did they get here? We're certainly not near any water sources or anything like that, if I remember correctly. No, we are not. I might come and explore over here. It would be very nice if we were close to an ocean or something. Or we could say that they came here by helicopter instead, and maybe they had to fly in all of the supplies because this place is just so remote. That might be better, actually. On site, then, we're also going to need to have captain's quarters, crew quarters. What do you call people who work in these sorts of facilities? I have absolutely no idea. At the moment, I'm thinking of them as captain and crew or miners, which is probably very wrong. We're also going to need to have things like, mess hall. What were people doing when they were around here? What lives were they leading? Who are the people who lived here? Who is the captain? Who is this person who has to make these decisions? Is it someone we're going to make a full backstory for? And what about the people who went down into the city itself? Is there some reason why some of them saw riches and some of them saw terror down there? These are all things that we can weave into this story, into this area, so that it makes sense to the person who comes along next and has to see what's going on. For now, though, I think it is time to get a little bit of building done around here. We have done an awful lot of chit-chat about story stuff. Let's actually put something down so that we can start getting some more ideas and some layouts of this land. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build somewhere where supplies can be kept. Things like the geological stores and that sort of thing. Things that aren't too story related at the moment, and they can certainly be easily adapted later on if we decide to make changes to the story. So I'll crack on with that, and I'll see you on the other side of the time lapse. And there you have it though, there is our latest building around here, which as you can see does include a helipad. I thought that was probably the most sensible way for them to bring in supplies here. It's not like they can easily transport anything in by road, there aren't any, and also any ocean is going to be simply too far away to bring things in by boat as well. So a helicopter is going to make the most sense. This is actually 3 buildings in one, which I will show you just as soon as we have hopped up here. Not promising that helipad's going to stay. There would need to be some story attachment to it as to why people didn't just leave on it, or maybe it was under control of something else. That is something I need to have a bit of a think about. Also, because it's here, I am going to want to keep this area clear of snow as much as I can. Otherwise, it's just going to look like a random round circle. That H in the middle of it is too iconic. It can't really be hidden away. But this is our new building that we've got then, and it's actually 3 in 1. So this is a loading area that we've got here. Then they've got a storage on the side, and then that there is the security office. And the idea here is that this is very much a generic building in the area, apart from the security office. That's likely to have a lot of stuff linked in with the story, but obviously that's just a folding gate so that they're able to get machinery in and out. And then in here is going to be simple storage. This is just where they're keeping clothes and food and bits and pieces of medical supplies, and obviously at the moment it is completely empty. There's going to be a reason for that. But if we just come then through into the next room, we've got a little forklift truck. That'll just be for moving supplies when they come in on the helicopters. We've got some bits and pieces of storage for tools, and we've got some places where mechanics can do some work, and some lockers as well for people to put away outdoor gear and that sort of thing. There is a space here, and that's because this is where they're going to be storing their food. It is also where I'm going to be storing food. At the moment, I am horribly short on food running around this place. In fact, I'm living on bits and pieces of meat that I pick up as I go out and find resources. I need something here, and it can't be animals because they're far, far too loud. In which case, I'm probably going to grow just some potatoes and some carrots underground. And that's also going to give us the opportunity to farm some bone meal reasonably easily as well. At the moment, I'm having to light the place up with torches, which isn't ideal because they're much too bright. This needs to be glow lichen in here, and right now I have no way of farming it easily. So though, if we just come through to the other side, through here, this is a nice little dim corridor. I really like the lighting in here. This is how I want a lot of it to be. There is the one piece of glow lichen I was able to find underground. And then this through the double doors, this is the security office. So this is an even darker room, especially at night. At the moment, nice big windows so people can see out, see what's going on, see who's arriving by helicopter, make sure things are being done as they should be. Bits and pieces of computer equipment around, as well as, of course, big data banks for storing all of the information. And also there's going to be files about the staff as well. And one thing I do want to get for in here is maybe some dark oak signposts or something like that put on these blocks here, which is effectively representing like a data server type thing. Get some effects of lights, colour, a bit sort of like twinkling bits of light like they are computers. Obviously we can't do the actual twinkly bit, but we can at least get some signs on. At the moment though, I haven't found any dark oak. But let's just take a little run outside now that it is becoming night time, so that we can have a look at this place in the dark. And you know what? I really like the level of lighting on this building. One of the reasons why I wanted to have just one lantern in that security office is that from the other side, as we're running around, you get hints that there's something in there. There's something going on, but you can't quite see well enough. Everything is always slightly out of sight, which I think adds to the atmosphere quite nicely. Also, the outside of that building is lit mostly by the torches. Obviously, that's to indicate to a coming in helicopter or something like that where it needs to go. But again, it means the building is mostly in darkness, and I'm now thinking maybe that is actually too lit up. Don't know, we really need to get hold of some soul lanterns so that we can have a look at how they're going to affect the place, or get hold of more glow lichen as well. At the moment though, I'm leaning towards the even dimmer look. And from up here, if we just hoik right up the top of the building, how are we looking? Yeah, I like that. I think that looks good. I like how dark most of that is. It looks like, ooh, you could imagine seeing just a person fleeting across that window and being like, what was that? Who's in there? What are they looking at? Are they looking at the staff records? Are they looking through the cameras? Are they watching me? I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. So this is great though. We are getting a really solid foundation of what it is that we want to be building in this world, what we need to be building in the world, and how we're going to be doing and how it's going to be looking. I do think though that I'm going to end the episode here. I need to go and get some more resources together. I need to go and get some more food. One single chicken probably isn't going to even last this night. And I just need to get a few more bits and pieces so that we are ready to move on with the next stage of this. Okay, don't do that. Let's not be silly at night, especially after I've just said I've got no food. I'm going to go in just to say goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you for watching, everybody. Happy Minecrafting, and I'll see you again soon. And let me know what you think about the story sides of this. You know, this world is basically going to need to have a pretty big collapse. Let me know if you've got any ideas about what we can do about characters or places or situations or anything like that at all. Always happy to hear your suggestions. But yeah, have a good one, everybody, and I'll see you again soon. You. Hey.